interesting event taking place in Washington, D.C. tomorrow is Operation American Spring to hit D.C. to oust Obama, Biden, Boner, and Holder.
A group of self-described revolutionary-style patriots is heading to downtown Washington, D.C. this week. They have a message for President Obama and House Speaker John Boehner, among other politicians, and that is, get out. They are called Operation American Spring, and they want to get all of the country's lead political figures out of office to restore the Constitution.
Hello, America. I'm Colonel Harry Riley, U.S. Army retired, founder of Operation American Spring. I'm here today to tell you why we need to go to Washington, D.C. May the 16th.
The group says about 10 to 30 million like-minded Americans will meet in the Capitol on Friday. Alex Woyer, The Washington Times.
Goes on further to say in this article, we are calling for the removal as a start toward constitutional restoration, said retired Army Colonel Harry Riley. Sorry about that. The leader of the group, Raw Story, reported they have all abandoned the U.S. Constitution and are unworthy to be retained in a position that calls for servant status. Further on in this article, we see that the group expects between 10 million and 30 million similarly thinking Americans to meet them in the Capitol on Friday for a rally that's being billed as a sort of Arab Spring for Americans. Meanwhile, the group is holding another event on the same day in Bunkerville, Nevada, near cattle rancher Cliven Bundy's property and in support of his standoff with the Bureau of Land Management over grazing fees. The most very interesting portion of this article right here, which says Colonel Riley said he hopes the event will go forward peacefully, but that so far peaceful protests haven't brought citizens much luck. He also said that more than 1 million militia members have already mobilized for the event and that projections to 10 million to attend aren't pie in the sky. Does this have any correlation with the video that came out last month that talks about Michigan becoming the 34th state to vote that a constitutional convention be called, and no one really noticed, not Congress, not the media, no one. In Article 5 of the Constitution that allows for the Constitution to be amended two ways, through congressional vote and through state legislature vote. We haven't amended the Constitution in decades, and now that the states have voted to do so, no one noticed. And here's the video on that.
In the U.S., many people like to hold up the Constitution as the most important thing ever written by mankind. They treat it as holy as the Bible. Now, sure, it's written well, and it has some really amazing, beautiful ideas in it. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what's written in it, because our current government basically wipes its butt with the thing all the time. And they're doing it again, right now, and no one even knows about it. That's how much we care about our Constitution here. So here's the deal. Article 5 deals with adding amendments. It provides for two ways to do this. The first way is the way that all 27 amendments have been added so far. They go up for votes in Congress and have to get a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate. The second way Article 5 allows for the Constitution to be amended is for 2/3 of state legislatures to demand a meeting, and then Congress, quote, shall call a convention for proposing amendments. That's never happened before in our history. But Michigan's state legislature just voted to call a meeting to amend the Constitution over our ridiculous budget. And guess what? It was the 34th state to do so, meaning that 2/3 of our states have now demanded a constitutional convention be called for the first time in hundreds of years. This should be a huge moment in our national history. But instead of hearing lots of excitement out of Washington, all we're hearing is crickets. Anyone who is paying attention is quick to point out that Article 5 is vague, and it's hard to determine what constitutes a real vote by a state. And then some states are voting, but then taking back their votes and then voting again. But no one really knows for sure how it's supposed to work because it's never happened before. But either way, the fact that 2/3 of our states have voted to have a constitutional convention called to write new amendments about our stupid government spending should cause a ruckus in Washington, especially as our beloved Constitution says we have to deal with it once that 2/3 requirement has been met. But our government is just basically ignoring it. Because of course they don't want to impose rules on themselves over their corporate spending. So this is just another example of our government treating our Constitution the same way they treat the Bible. That is, they treat it just like toilet paper.
These men in the militia appear to be very serious, and I believe this is why we see politicians in D.C. stockpiling weapons, ammunition, and even bomb-making materials lately. And yes, even caskets to help clean up the mess they plan to make if successful. Will it get out of hand tomorrow? And will we see martial law enacted as a result? I certainly hope not. But then something has obviously been brewing in this nation for years, for a few years already now. Whatever's been fermenting in the minds of many is bound to eventually blow. I just hope it doesn't happen tomorrow, because I don't see many Christians being ready for all this. In any event, keep these men in prayer that are headed to D.C. They're only doing what the Constitution says is their right and their patriotic duty to do when our leaders become this corrupt. Now do you see why our leaders are rewriting the Constitution? One more thing. As we know, there have been many articles written over the last few years about missing nukes, be it suitcase nukes to 50 actual warheads going offline for 45 minutes, allowing any enemy full access. As corrupt as our leaders are, would they be so corrupt to purposely leave D.C. in droves, knowing a militia is coming so as to nuke the city and kill them all off in one fell swoop? The days ahead are prophesied to be intense. Will they be that intense? I hope not. And I also want to state that I don't believe it's going to get that chaotic and crazy tomorrow. But what we see happening tomorrow is certainly a testament of a huge uprising taking place. And as it states about the beast that comes out of the earth in Revelation 13 and passages in Revelation 14, we see that those who kill with a sword will be killed with the sword. So again, these are very interesting times, and we live in. So stay safe. God bless. Thank you for watching.